Good Monday afternoon or Monday evening at 7 o'clock Federal Standard Time. You know what that means. It's time for your weekly episode of SCV CHAT. Before we get started, as usual, the views and opinions expressed on this broadcast are not necessarily those of SCV, its GEC, or any division, brigades, camp, or other subsidiaries, strictly those opinions of us who are expressing them. Hey, Moose.
Hola, Connor. How are you?
Soy muy bien. Although I just said yeah, that's right, soy muy bien. Uh, we're not doing the rest of the episode in Spanish. Really
I
quickly.
passed Spanish, so let's not.
hmm, one phrase in Spanish.
That was why I convinced my teacher to have mercy on me. It's because she asked me to say one thing in Spanish and I understood what it meant.
Hey. All right. Really quickly, I'm gonna change these around. We've got a new rule for our audience.
All
Just really quickly, go ahead and flash up if you can all of the rules and remind everybody.
right, I'm always ready to go, so I'm posting them in the chat now.
So, our rules in the chat are very simple. No spamming the chat. That means no hitting period and enter period, enter period, enter, over and over again until we can't read what's going on. No racial slurs. Act with respect for yourself and others. The people on To the people on the show. No veganism allowed. It is a mental disorder that should be completely eradicated. No fumar in the elevator. You break these rules, you'll get put in timeout. You continue after timeout, you will be banned. So no veganism. It's our little bit on there. Uh, Before we continue on, though, on a serious note, I don't know how many of y'all saw this, but our commander in chief lost his mother this past week. Um, our hearts and condolences go out to Larry and Annette McClooney um, during this, especially during this difficult time, y'all. Please keep them in your prayers. Um, Larry's a special person to me and Moose. He's a special, person to the show. We wouldn't be able to do the show without him trusting us and letting us run with it. So definitely, y'all keep the commander in chief and his family in their prayers right now while everything is going there. Anyway, we have a couple of things we want to mention. First of all, we mentioned it last week. We want to remind everybody that we are now on the TikTok, um, also known as the Clock app, but TikTok. We're posting some videos up there. Um,
Yes, and we just
I've
had a
got
new
to
up today, so go check it out. We're doing a video series
after the stream after the stream.
after the stream, of course. My video is up now, along with Matt's and video. So please go support it on SCV Chat's TikTok.
Also, reminder that we are on YouTube. So for all of y'all who are going to your camp meetings this week and you're talking about what a great episode of SCV Chat you saw on Monday, and everybody's asking, well, how do I watch it? I don't have Facebook. They can go to YouTube and watch us live and communicate with us the same way y'all in Facebook land are. There's no reason why people in the SCV can't be tuning into this. We're on those two platforms, looking at moving out to some others, just so that we can do, like the song says, like our motto, our mission statement is, reclaim the narrative one week at a time. Ron Kennedy, we may have moved to Rumble or add on to Rumble. It just depends on what StreamYard will allow us to broadcast to. That's where we're very limited right now. As things continue on, StreamYard continues to grow and social media continues to grow. We're going to try our best to get on there.
Yeah.
However, for everybody who is on Rumble, you can definitely copy our link to our YouTube page and share it on there. Follow us on YouTube, and you'll get the notifications when we're going to go live, which is Mondays, Thursdays, 7 o'clock. Unless we have a special episode, and we'll put that out there normal. One thing we do want to mention a little bit is that on May the 4th, we will be having a special episode. For those that did not know, Moose and I are big Star Wars fans. Um, and we're going to be doing the May the 4th Be With You. Moose is going to wear his Princess Leia buns. Um, kidding, kidding. Um, but we are going to do a comparison between the war in Star Wars and our own war between the states. Uh, George Lucas did base a lot of stuff in there on history, so we're going to look at that. We'll say this: there's one that is very funny. Moose is very similar to Wookiee Chuck Mac. Um, but if anybody knows what the Clone Army was called during the Clone Wars, it was called the Grand Army of the Republic. That became the name of the Federal uh, Veterans Association, and the Grand Army of the Republic was sent to squash the Confederation of Independent Systems. So yeah, that's other things like that. Other things like that is what we're going to bring up. It'll be a fun episode. Um, we may be doing a live stream this upcoming weekend. Moose and I will be at a memorial service, the Mississippi Division Memorial Service at Beauvoir, last home of President Jefferson Davis. We may go live. We may not go live. Who knows? That's why you should be following the page. That's why you should be sharing our stuff. Um, excuse me, trying to get a sip of water really quickly. He was
That,
just in it.
that got me.
Um,
Ooh,
last couple of things.
look around the
Um,
South chat. Thank you guys for supporting. You can go see what they do. Some great things over there on the page.
yeah. Couple of little things. On weekend of May 7th, we got some stuff coming up, guys. Up at Elm Springs, your national headquarters. On the 6th, I believe, is that Friday. I would know if Moose would be a good producer and bring up the flyer for the red carpet.
Man, all you had to do was ask. You didn't have to treat me like that.
You're
Y'all
supposed
y'all
to be
y'all
able, you're
on this show.
supposed to be able to read my mind, Harrison.
Is that it?
Friday, May 6th, we've got the Bedford Forest red carpet premiere. The event Bright Side is Up. Was told that there are about only 40 spots available left. So
Mm-hmm.
it's filling up. If you want to be a part of this historic event, go to the Eventbrite website. Go and scan the QR code that's on the top of the picture and get in there. It'll be the first time in the movie that it is debuted. It'll be a red carpet. SCV Chat will be out there to cover it, and everybody walking down in their finery. There will be heavy hors d'oeuvres, which I've asked Adam, and he could not confirm nor deny that we'll have fried spam on Melba toast. Um, so we may very well may have fried spam on Melba toast. It'll start at 6 p.m. The film begins at I cannot read that. I think it's 7:15. So definitely a great chance to get in to have some fun. You also, as part of your ticket, get a copy of the Forest documentary that is premiering. The Eventbrite link is in the chat. We'll post it up after the show. Remember to get your tickets while you still can. They're filling
Yeah.
up. You don't want to miss this event. Anything you want to add on that, Moose?
No. I think you covered all your T's and dotted your I's. This is another big event for us, and this is another one that you're gonna want to say that you were there. And of course, as a reward, you get the first ever copies of this documentary. And of course, you get to experience the red carpet, and you get to see us there doing interesting things live.
Maybe Moose will dance.
No.
Really quick. So that's the 6th, Friday the 6th. On Saturday the 7th, we have the pilgrimage up at Elm Springs. The information is on our Facebook page as well as right there on the screen, as well as in your veteran. Um, it'll be May 7th, 2022, starting at 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. A lot like we did last year. If you watched our live stream of it, you'll want to make sure that um, you want to be a part of it. Um, we had the inaugural, now we have the annual. So definitely, please plan on trying to attend. Reminder: bring your own lawn chair, bring your own lunch. If you don't bring your own lunch and you get hungry and are still hungry, boy, do we have the deal for you. That evening, we have the second annual Chat Head Dinner. After the pilgrimage on May 7th, join the boys at Catfish Campus for supper. Remember, this is a pay for yourself event. Get there early if you want a spot. Yes, we will be giving out awards and live streaming starting at 7 p.m. Confederate Standard Time. There's the address for Catfish Campus. Last year, we really knocked it out of the park. The reason why we say get there early is we kind of took over the restaurant and made a huge economic impact into Columbia, Tennessee. And we want to do that again because money talks.
Close.
And Moose is going to wear his Moose costume.
I don't remember agreeing to that. So no.
Yes.
I don't know where it is.
Yo, you need to find it.
I am kind of.
Or buying a new one.
Oh.
Don't make me pull that card out of my wallet. You know which card I'm talking about.
Oh, that's mean, dude.
It's me, little buddy.
I get abused on the show, I swear. My own father betrays me on the show weekly.
Really quick, one final little bit of housekeeping. Guys, we appreciate y'all, everybody who sent us friend requests over the past, couple of years and months. We love getting to meet you guys. However, just as a little request from myself, Moose, everybody, if you're wanting to be on the show or if you're wanting to communicate about the show, either email us to the scvyouth@gmail.com or message the page directly. Um, Strictly because on my private Facebook and on Moose's private Facebook, even his SCV Facebook, we've got a ton of messages, and we want to make sure that we're able to communicate with you guys as best as possible. So please message us directly on the page or via email, and we'll get back out to you.
Yeah.
Please, that's just our one little request. Um, yeah. Good news is that we have Look Around the Confederation coming up this upcoming Thursday. I believe that past Commander in Chief Paul Gramling Jr., the legend, will be on to talk about that as well as some other news, some Pleasant Hill pictures. Pretty sure we'll have some pictures from the Tennessee Division reunion, everything like that. So please make sure that y'all throw that on there. We also want to remind everybody that last Wednesday we had a special episode on with Michael Hardy. I had to cut out because of weather around here, but if you didn't get to watch it, that episode will be on. We'll probably replay it tomorrow night and replay tonight's episode on Wednesday night. So definitely go and tune in and check that out. So that's definitely fun. Really quickly, because we were talking about the red carpet, Moose, I'm going to go ahead and make an executive decision and say we're going to go ahead and play our video now. This is a little teaser for the documentary that'll be premiered. Get your tickets, folks. Get your tickets.
Real quick before we do that though, let me talk about this because you're running out of time. So what am I doing? Well, I'm looking at this beautiful book for our SCV chat giveaway. Dixie Rises Rules for Rebels. It is a playbook how we're going to reclaim the narrative and fight and win this cold civil war that we are in for our heritage. To enter the said giveaway, you must email us at scvyouth.outreach@gmail.com. Put the subject box SCV_chat giveaway. Then it is the fight for your life. Will be competing with everybody that enters the giveaway by liking, commenting, and most importantly, sharing the promotion and the actual episode of every SCV chat and Look Around Confederation episode the whole month of April. And the winner will be decided. That hurt, Jason. The winner will be decided that first week of May before the pilgrimage, and it will be given out. The winner will be officially announced at second annual Chat Head dinner. So now's the time. You don't want to get behind on this. You want to win that beautiful book. So without further ado, I guess that is everything I need to out. Do you have anything? You ready for the commercial?
Jason, the ironic thing is, back when we started this program, Moose used to make fun of my internet connection and freezing up. Now he's having karma. All right, because it's going to take you forever to do it, I will go ahead and play the video. Y'all, here it is.
It started about 3 years ago. A controversy began with the political correct movement that was taking place in Memphis, and Forrest became a lightning rod.
They created a nonprofit group, a puppet organization, went in there in the middle of the night and removed the statue in violation of a number of laws.
Even if the statue got put back up, it wouldn't last a week. Why don't we move on?
There's no one alive today that could tell us where General Forrest and Mrs. Forrest were buried.
As we were digging away the dirt from in front of the statue, we discovered a flower cradle, and it said N.B. Forrest, 1877. We uncovered both the vaults, and they were side by side.
So can you raise it just a little bit more so we can get the strap? That's good. A little bit more.
Recognizing the enormity of the history that's involved with this, I wanted to make sure that it was done right.
This is one of those things that you can't fail on. You can't just halfway do this. You have to be invested. You have to go with it with all your heart and soul.
We're here to remember a hero, not just of the South, but an American warrior.
The line is drawn now. This is not just an attack on Confederate or Southern history. It's an attack on American history.
And we're back, and we're joined with our guest for the evening. If you read your veteran and notice on the very first page after the cover, there the man, the myth, the legend. We have with us editor-in-chief Frank Powell, who is one of the few people who have a rule named after him in the oratory contest, which is the epitome of being in the SCV. So, Frank, how are you doing this evening?
Just fine. I hope y'all are.
Doing fantastic. I'm so glad to have you on during April because this is a very special anniversary for you, isn't it?
Well, yes. Basically, when I joined the SCV and when I became editor also a number of years after that.
So how long have you been in our beloved organization?
36 years.
And how long have you been editor in chief?
19 years.
19 years. Oh, goodness.
Wow.
Didn't realize it was that long.
Yep. 03.
Boy, howdy. So with this being your 36th anniversary in the SCV, I've got one question for sure I want to ask you before we get diving really into it. What's your favorite SCV memory?
Oh, that's a tough one. There was so many. A lot of very good national reunions that we attended. That I have pleasant memories about. It's hard to pick out just one, I guess. Yeah, I'd have to think about that. I don't know which I'd pick out to be.
Well, top three.
Well, let's see. Back in '92, during a debate, one of our members at the podium that was giving a report pulled off his jacket and was going to climb over the podium to fight somebody in the audience. I've always remembered that. Our reunions are more sedate now than they used to be. I can tell you that. When we say we used to fight, they mean we used to literally fight at those things. So they're a lot calmer now, and maybe that's good because I'm older. But I do remember him pulling off his jacket and coming over the podium to fight the guy on the floor. I won't mention any names to protect the innocent, but we don't do that anymore. Sometimes I miss it.
Well, we could definitely bring it back for you if you'd like.
You need to come sit up at the front where the action is.
Oh no, I'm like I was telling you, I sit in the back this year. I'm actually thinking about bringing a cooler to make sure that I'm well hydrated during the debates. I'm hoping, I pray to God we can get it all done on Friday. So now as editor in chief, well, let me back up a little bit before I get into your roles, editor in chief, and your many other hats that you wore. So we're talking about the previous offices that you've held before the stream started, and division adjutant.
Yes.
And that was back in before computerized. It sounded like.
It's right on the dawn of computers. Yes.
Then division commander.
Yes.
That's how you got out of division adjutant, which is going from the fire back into the frying pan. It feels like, instead of the other way. And then I'm assuming you moved up to the GEC as one of the councilmen, as
yes.
A&V councilman.
A&V councilman. Yes. A&V
commander.
Then
lieutenant CIC. So you've been involved for a while. Who was your favorite past CIC to work with?
Oh, okay. Now I'm not going to answer that. I'll make somebody mad probably.
How was working with Chuck McMichael? How about
that? Oh, it's always fun working with Chuck. No, we did good. In fact, he at our first reunion when he was CIC, his parliamentarian in chief didn't show up. So 5 minutes before the gavel fell, he asked me to fill in for him.
And you've been pretty much doing that ever since.
Yeah, off and on. Yeah, more on than off. Yes.
So you were telling us that you really enjoy being parliamentarian in chief. For those that are not familiar with the title, break it down for us. Like Moose, he's not familiar with the title, so break it down for him.
Well, you need to have a working knowledge of Robert's Rules of Order and also our Constitution, because where our Constitution doesn't cover, it states that Robert's Rules come into play at that time. So you need to sort of have a working knowledge of both. Fortunately, if there's a constitutional question from the floor, I can refer that to the judge advocate in chief because he's usually sitting right up front also. And he's the one that's supposed to interpret the Constitution, but we do work together sometimes with that. Also, different commanders in chief will put me in the chair at different times. In the past, usually in the chair for constitutional amendments and resolutions to run the debate there to keep order. That's the big thing, to keep order. Sometimes we have a lot of egos out there on the floor, and you have to keep them in line so that we can have the proper order to make a discussion. And that's just fun. I enjoy that. Also, at different times, I've actually been in the chair to run the election for the next commander-in-chief and lieutenant commander-in-chief. That because the parliamentarian is a neutral person and normally does not vote unless there's a roll call vote.
Right, and I don't think we've ever. God, I couldn't imagine us having a roll call vote.
Oh, we've had roll call votes, yes.
Oh man, I mean, I know we've done it on the division level, and that still takes forever. But I mean, on the national level, if we have a reunion like we did last year, where it's several camps, you know, vast majority of the Confederation represented it, that just seems like it would take, you know, almost 30 minutes. Whew.
Or at least, yes. We've not had one in a while. Normally, what we do is you call for a voice vote. If that doesn't render a decision, then you do a standard vote, and then after that, somebody can call for a roll call vote. But we try to do a ballot vote because that is quicker.
Right, and I would assume, yeah, I would assume it'd be more efficient that way. At least the representative, like my camp, we're close to 80 delegates, and meanwhile there's a camp with only you know, the one delegate vote.
Right.
And you know, my camp only sends, you know, one or two delegates, whereas that camp may send that one person, and you know we're, you know, canceled out. So I mean, it would be fair for representation that way.
The ballot vote is better because you do get to vote your entire strength, where you may not, for in your example, you may not have 8 camp members there and only 2. So with a standing vote, you'd only count as 2. So the ballot vote is probably the fairest. But the roll call vote too is by camp strength. The chairman of the delegation would stand up and say, we vote 8 votes for whatever the issue is.
Right. It would take forever, and as well as, you know, having people you know, out taking a restroom break right when it was right before it's getting started, and then coming in and having to camp 255. What I miss?
Well, what y'all also missed in the 90s, we had a roll call of camps to determine a quorum. The adjutant chief would call out each camp, and they would either answer present or not answer. And that took at least an hour. I was always fortunate because my camp is 166. So after we answered present, we could go to the vendors or go to the bathroom or whatever, because it'd be an hour before we'd be finished.
Yeah, well, mine's 2278, so we'd be there for a while. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, the thing that you're really noted for, that everybody recognizes you as, is editor in chief. And we've got some people asking questions really quickly about pictures, and we'll get into that later on, of course. But let's go into, you know, we should have an issue of the veteran coming out relatively soon. Let's say that you're cracking into a brand new first issue. Can you walk us through that process?
Oh, well, usually I'm working on 2 to 3 issues at one time in various stages. And you sort of have to do that to stay ahead, because I've gotten behind in the past, and it is terrible to get behind because you just can't catch up. So that's my goal. Personal goal is not to get behind. That's why you see Jason Boshier is all the time complaining about me getting on him, getting his article in on time, because we're sitting there waiting for it. And a lot of times you don't know how long the articles. Does he need 2 pages, 3 pages? and so you're sitting there with those pages not being able to do anything with them. And our printer has a deadline, and he has to line his stuff up too. So if we're late to the printer, that messes him up and makes us even later, because he'd have to work us in on a future press run.
Mm.
So I usually I'm collecting stuff all the time. For example, the camp news pictures, I get a bunch of those every day. Books to be reviewed. I'll go a week and not get any, and then I'll get one every day for a week. I have 2 stacks now beside my desk, almost 3 feet tall each, of books needing to be reviewed that have been sent in. And we just don't have the space to run but so many reviews. And all our reviewers are volunteers, so I cannot stand on them real hard, or they'll tell me what I can do with my book and my review. So you have to manage. You have to manage people too. In addition to manage stories and pictures, you have to manage people.
Well, as a past camp editor, I couldn't imagine doing it on the national end. So the question that we had is, on average, how long does it take for a picture? And I know in our past conversations we've had about getting pictures in and everything, like, can you just touch the picture process for the veteran?
Yes, I sort of have a system. I don't think anybody understands the system but me. But and I do try to use them as in the order that I receive them. For example, a picture I use today is not going to go in the next magazine. But with the restrictions on camp meetings in the past couple of years, where a lot of camps didn't meet or didn't have their normal activities, we actually getting close to running out of pictures for the Army in Northern Virginia. At one time, the Army of Trans-Mississippi, but they've picked up. The Army of Tennessee, that's our largest army. We have the most camps in there, so I get the most pictures from camps in the Army of Tennessee. And it usually takes about a year in the Army of Tennessee for the picture to show up in the magazine. It's a little quicker in the other 2 armies because I just don't get as many, especially in the last 18 months to 2 years. I've not been receiving as many pictures as we used to. It used to be a year for everybody, maybe even 18 months in the Army of Tennessee, but that has changed in the last couple of years.
All right, and when people submit the pictures to you, especially if they're using it on sending it via cell phone, they need to make sure that they're the actual size, right? They don't need to shrink it down or anything.
Right, do not shrink it down. You may see some photos that look small or maybe even look fuzzy. That's because they're low resolution. I don't like that, but once again, they took the time and the trouble to send it in, so I hate not to use it because it's important to them. And the Confederate veteran belongs to the members. It doesn't belong to me, or the commander-in-chief or the GEC. Belongs to the members. It's their magazine. So, and I try to always remember that. But yes, when you're sending in a picture, whether it's from a smartphone or iPad or whatever, send it at actual size, because I really can't enlarge them, but I can reduce them.
And what's your preferred method? Do you prefer PNG or JPEG?
It does. Either one is fine. It doesn't matter. Actually, for printing purposes, I convert them all into TIFF files.
Okay.
Because JPEGs, every time you open and save a JPEG, you're actually saving a copy. It's like making a copy of a copy of a copy. And if you do it enough, you lose quality. TIFF files, you don't do that. You don't lose anything when you resave them.
Okay. I just for graphic design that I do at work and as well as here on chat, I usually do it as a PNG. So I was just wondering which you preferred, because potentially SCV Chat's going to start buying advertisement within the veteran.
Yeah, well, a JPEG fine, especially if it's an original JPEG. TIFF files are probably 5 times the size of a JPEG. That's another problem for emailing them. So it's probably easier to email a JPEG than a TIFF file. That's why I have not to criticize Moose, but that's why I have a very nice internet connection, because all those large files I have to send to the printer all the time. I can tell he has. I can tell he has $2.99 a month. And I've got
Frank.
I've got gigabyte fiber internet here, so I'm good to go.
Oh yeah, you're definitely coming back on the show. Anybody who will rip into Moose can come back on the show.
Okay.
That's one of our unofficial bring the guest back. We are getting several comments from the Kennedy twins. Of course, we got Miss Linda's up here on the screen. You know that you've made so many improvements with moving in the veteran, making it from a black and white to transitioning to full color and things like that. And I remember I've got actually sitting right across from me here in the parlor a bunch of 1980s, and I think the 2002 is the oldest one or youngest of the old stack that I've got still. Just seeing the transition in that is really good.
I won't take all the credit for that. Technology has changed over the years too, to allow us to do more than we could 20 years ago.
Well, still you're able to drag us in there.
Yep.
So that is definitely
drug. Yes.
No doubt. So I'm trying to remember what I was going to. So the past couple of issues, or at least some issues last year, there was some very interesting debates within the letters to the editor. Do you enjoy that portion of the veteran, or do you just copy and paste and let the chips fall where they may?
No, I do enjoy that. In fact, we didn't have that till I became editor. The previous editors did not have a letter to the editor section, and when I became editor, I was obvious. Every magazine I subscribed to at the time always had letters to the editor. So the first issue I did, I had that section in there. I had to call people and say, I need a letter to the editor to fill up this space. Will you write me a letter? Ron Castile did several like that back in the day when we just first started. And once we started it, then the letters started coming in, and we didn't have that problem anymore. Well, yeah, I enjoy that. And sometimes I'll print a letter knowing I'm going to get a lot of debate about it, just to get the debate. Debate's good. Everybody has an opinion. You know what opinions are like. And everybody has one. And it's their magazine, and they get to share it. And I tell people, I say, if you don't like the letters you see in the magazine, you should see the ones I don't print and throw in the trash can. They're really interesting.
I would like to see those. I'm surprised we haven't seen one about. Of course, I try not to read the letter to the editors myself because of and you probably know the topic that I'm about the logo.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, reading that back and forth just gets my goat. So I kind of skip away from that. Read the Commander-in-Chief's article, Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief's article, Chief of Heritage Operations, the Chaplain-in-Chief's article. Am I missing any major articles out of there?
Did you say Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief? Now you heard his feelings if you don't read his article. Yes.
I read Jason's article.
Okay. Good.
Yeah. In fact, I try to find typos in his article to send to him. But anyway, I read those. I try to stick away from theirs. But have there been any letters to the editors about us yet here on chat?
No, I've not received any about the chat.
In shock.
Yeah, maybe I need to write one and send it in.
Tyler J on YouTube would like to see a letter to the editor about dating advice for SCV singles.
I see that. Yeah.
I see. I heard Miss Sarah in the background. You think she'd be interested in writing a gossip or relation advice column?
I don't know that she would. She didn't know what she was getting into when she married me, so I don't know if she has the proper advice. or not.
Oh goodness, that's of course all in good fun. Um, so where do you see there's been at least within some of the circles that Moose and I travel in about do you think the Confederate veteran will ever go fully digital?
Yes, sometime in the future, I think it will. Yes, not the near future, because we still have a lot of members who don't believe in computers and they don't even have email. So uh, obviously, they can't use an online magazine, and it's available electronically. And works real good on an iPad. I put it on my iPad all the time, just so it works really well. And you can enlarge it. And the good thing about the electronic version is it's searchable by keywords.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, I use the old digitized older copies to be able to hunt down interesting articles and things like that. But for those who are not members of the SCV, we've got a lot of ladies that do watch. They can subscribe to the Confederate Veteran, correct?
Yes, they can. I believe it's $36 a year. I think. Don't hold me to that. I haven't looked at that thing in a while. I think it's $36 a year for subscriptions.
And I know there's within the magazine there's in there, but I think there's maybe something online too. If not, Moose and I will track it down and post it out there. So we mentioned briefly about advertisement into the veteran, and SCV Chat. We're trying to get our feet off the ground at least financially so that we can advertise in the veteran. Are there any limits on what businesses can or cannot advertise in the veteran at this time?
The only limit that the General Executive Council has placed on advertisements, and this was several GECs ago, so it's just holding because no future GECs overturned it, but no liquor ads. Rebel Yell used to buy a full-page ad every issue, paid ad, and some people complained that we shouldn't be advertising liquor, so the GEC instructed me to stop accepting their ads.
Did the friends of the
That was
SCV?
several GECs ago, so times change, people change.
Well, that would be something interesting to see. Especially if they came out with a commemorative SCV bottle.
Yes.
But who knows? Now, do friends of the SCV do they get a copy of the veteran or not?
I do not believe they do.
Okay, so we had a couple people ask about that.
I don't think they do, but I could be wrong on that because headquarters takes care of all that. See, I do the production, design, layout, and get it to the printer. Headquarters keeps the mailing list. They keep the money. I try not to handle any money except for the checks for the classified ads, which I send to headquarters. Once the issue goes to the printer, I send the classified things too. So they may get it. I'm not sure about that. You'd have to check with Cindy at headquarters because she's the keeper of the list. And I do receive emails and even letters in the mail about address changes, and I just have to forward them to headquarters because, like I said, they keep the list. I don't keep the mailing list.
So we're gonna jump off of editor in chief for a second and go to um, you actually have a printing company, correct?
Yes.
Or a publication company.
Yes, very small publishing company. Yes.
Publishing company.
Yeah,
so yeah, and I've actually this past reunion bought several or a couple items, not several, from you. But y'all, one that you had was a soldier's prayer book.
Yes.
And I actually have that sitting underneath my pocket testament on my desk at work. I can't remember the other book that or whatever, what the other thing I bought from y'all. I think I gave it to Moose actually. As a good job, Moose. Continue on the work, learn to read. Type deal, but I can't remember. So what all have y'all published and are available for anybody who's needing to buy some more books?
Well, we've published. I like to publish reprints of books that have been out of print for 100 years or longer. I sort of look for them, and like Captain Samuel Ash's book. He was a Confederate veteran, the highest ranking officer commissioned by Davis to die. He died in 1938 at 98 years old. He was a prolific writer. He wrote a lot of articles for the Confederate Veteran magazine. If you look in the old veterans, you'll see articles by Captain Samuel Ash. So he did this book about the Southern view of the war between the states. So obviously, to reprint that because that's firsthand information. I like firsthand information from the people who were there, instead of people from 4 generations trying to tell you what they thought.
Right.
It's better to get it from the people that were there, and now you know what they thought and what they felt. And like the prayer book, I found that, and that was originally printed in Charleston and handed out to troops in the field. So I thought that was worthy of reprinting because they carried that around in their pocket, even onto the battlefield. I just recently, it's been done a lot, but I wanted to do it too. The Confederate Constitution, reprinted that in a little book, retails for $5. Most people have never seen the Confederate Constitution. So, yeah, thank you, Michael, is reminding me that he did an introduction to a reprint of Pickett or Pettigrew. There's a great debate about Gettysburg. Is it Pickett's charge or Pettigrew's charge? It said that North Carolina troops under Pettigrew went further and had more men than Pickett and his Virginians, but Pickett got all the credit because of the newspapers in Richmond. And North Carolinians tried for years to get the credit that they were due. So that was a neat lie. I was glad I found that and reprinted that because we still argue with Virginia about that here in North Carolina. And don't get started on South Carolina. So it's just the way it is.
I will say that Mississippi, at least, we had the 11th Mississippi and Company A, 100% casualties.
100% casualties.
University Grace.
So anyway, I got
a
lot of reprints. Also, I've printed several books for the Kennedys, including their reprint of Rawls' book on the Constitution that was taught at West Point when Lee and Jackson and Johnson and Stewart were students. That said secession was okay, so that's what they were taught at West Point. So that's an interesting read. Also, recently printed a roster. It's 450 pages, 8.5 by 11 hardback, a roster of all the North Carolina Navy and Marine troops. That's been a resource that's been lacking lately, and now we got it in that book. It's been selling pretty well, especially for a reference book, because you're not going to sit down and read it. Just you're going to look up a name in it. So.
Right. Well, anything Confederate Navy or Marine Corps, there's not that much printed on, especially Marine Corps.
Yeah, especially Marine Corps. Yes.
That is really cool. So hopefully you got us some copies at National Reunion.
Oh yeah, I'll have them there.
Okay. I'm probably going to want to pick one up. Would you ever consider reprinting The Rise and Fall of the Confederate Government?
Yeah, that would be a big project. I would consider it, although I'd have to find out if it's in the public domain or if the family still owns the rights to it.
I don't think that I'm gonna say that I don't know if the
Mhm.
family still owns the right to it or not. I know it hasn't been printed in a while though.
If it's in the
And
public domain, that's something we could do, although that would be, all my books are getting more expensive because paper costs. We're having that problem with the veteran too. You may have noticed the paper was thinner in the last issue because we're trying to offset the increase in paper. Although I thought it was too thin, so I told Adam to talk to the printer and bump it up a little bit because I thought the last issue was just a little too thin. We'll see what this next one is.
Chuck Mack saying there was a reprint of The Rise back in the 90s.
It may be out of print again. I don't know.
I haven't seen a copy in a while.
Okay.
So being connected with a certain museum down on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, I may share their contact information with you, and see if they'd be interested, working with you.
Okay.
Smile,
Cool.
smile, wink, wink, smile.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, well, Frank, anything you want to talk about? I know we've been asking questions and bringing in questions from the audience. We're going to turn the floor over to you. You say whatever you want now.
Well, I can't say whatever I want now. There'd be another rule named after me, I'm sure. But
Well, you're not being vegan.
I do want to tell people about our museum now. I go to just about every GEC meeting. I don't have to, but I enjoy it and I like going and always there's always questions or something. But I watched the museum from the ground, the first shovel full of dirt that was turned over to the building we have now. And it's a very impressive building, and the displays are really coming along good. We don't need a lot of displays because the point is for us to tell our story because nobody else will tell our story but us. That's the important thing about the museum. But I have noticed that the people are donating stuff now, and the displays are getting better. So it gives us just a better opportunity to tell our story. So I'd ask you to support the museum, visit it when you can, but definitely support it. We still got to pay for the thing. I think it turned out to be more money than we thought in the beginning, but it's all ours, and we got to pay for it. Just this past month, my camp donated $1,000 to help pay off the museum. So we would challenge every camp in the Confederation to meet or beat us with that contribution.
Well, the challenge is out there, folks. What's your camp number?
Camp 166. It's the 47th Regiment, North Carolina Troops, Camp 166.
You mentioned that earlier because you could go to the bathroom before my camp could. If there was a roll call.
I could go and come back before your camp could. Yes.
But definitely the challenge is out there from Frank's camp. We definitely need to support the museum as best as possible. I'm trying to think of anything else talking points wise. We're definitely going to want to have you back on to talk about something that really interests you besides just being, editor in chief and parliamentarian in chief.
Maybe a new book that's coming out we could talk about or something. I've recently, last year, printed the first historical novel for Sandy Mitchum. He wrote a historical novel about did the Confederate Secret Service have something to do with the assassination of Lincoln. It's a very good book. He's a good writer anyway, but it's a very good book and it's a good story. right now I'm almost finished with a book about these people in Texas who have discovered how to travel back in time. And their goal is to go back in time and to keep Stonewall Jackson from being killed. They felt that was the turning point in the war, and that South could have gained its independence if they prevented that. So we're almost ready to go to the printer on that. That's a very good read. I like science fiction anyway, and you combine the war between the states and the Confederacy and science fiction, then you got me hooked. So that book will be out probably sometime in May or 1st of June.
Well, definitely. June we'll bring you on for our book review.
Okay.
That'll be right before reunion. We'll go ahead and pencil that in. Third Monday in June.
Third Monday in June. Okay.
Third Monday in June. I'm not sure about the date, but Moose will email you with all that good stuff. Also, do us a favor and send us any websites, for the publishing company that you want, and we'll post it out on the page. All right.
Okay. Certainly will.
All right. So Frank, we're going to go ahead and put you off back. Oh, actually, you can stay on because we're just going to go ahead and wrap up the stream here. We've been at it for about an hour, and I could smell the mama's cooking from the kitchen, and I'm starting to get hungry. So we appreciate you coming on. We appreciate everything that you do for the Confederation, everything that you have done.
Yes.
Guys, remember to tune in on Thursday, 7 o'clock for Look Around the Confederation. Be a great episode. We got past CIC Paul Grambling Jr., the legend, coming on. Moose has got pictures because he can't read. Your veteran, guys, remember to read your veteran. Read your veteran. You heard tonight about how much work he puts into it. Read it. And in the words of the late, great Harold Philpott, remember, no Fumar in the elevator.
No Fumar in the elevator.